Welcome to the Green Room Podcast, a community-driven show born straight out of Discord where role players, storytellers, and chaos makers gather to talk shop. This is the place where we pull back the curtain on the world of RP, from Red Dead Redemption's Frontiers tales to the neon-lit streets of GTA Roleplay. We dive into the characters, the servers, the drama, and the hilarious moments, and the craft behind immersive storytelling. The Green Room is exactly what it sounds like, the backstage lounge of roleplay, a place where creators, players, devs, and community members can relax, share experiences, swap ideas, and occasionally roast each other over the wild situations RP throws at us. Expect conversation about server stories and unforgettable moments, character building and RP philosophy, community highlights and the drama, the good kind mostly, tips behind the scenes talk, and the future of RP. Whether you're a hardened outlaw from the Red Dead frontier, a city veteran from GTA, or someone curious about stepping into the RP world for the first time, pull up a chair. The mic is live, the community's here, and the curtain's about to rise. Welcome to the Green Room Podcast, and welcome to my co-host, Serukka. How are we, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So, first off, we are going to jump into some role-playing game news from one of the, if not the biggest developer of a role-playing game and series. We have an announcement coming straight from Bethesda Game Studios. Now, for anyone out there who knows Bethesda games, they don't really like to talk and write stuff until the last moment, right? They'll maybe show you a video of Skyrim 10 years ago, or no, sorry, Elder Scrolls 5 or whatever, Elder Scrolls 6, 10 years ago, and then you'll never hear nothing ever again about it. You know what I mean? So this is kind of a bold thing that's happened. But we have a note from Bethesda Game Studios. We love making these worlds as much as you love playing in them. Okay, today we want to share what's next for Bethesda Game Studios and what you can expect from us in the years ahead. For 40 years, we've built games that have entertained almost 500 million players. More than just games, these are worlds for you to explore, shape, and make your own. Worlds we return to together. That's what's driving us forward. We're investing more deeply in the worlds players love, giving creators a bigger role in shaping their experiences and bringing our teams closer together so we can get our games into your hands sooner, support them longer, and continue building them alongside you for decades to come. So, Starfield continues, which I'm sure many people didn't like, with over 17 million players logging almost 1 billion hours to date. Starfield remains an important part of our future. As we enter year 3, we'll continue expanding the settled systems with new stories, targeted gameplay improvements, and additional updates, while preparing for the launch of new Starborn content next year. More than 40% of all players already customize their experience through creations, and will continue investing in creators and giving players new ways to make Starfield their own. Created by players. We've believed from the beginning that our worlds belong not only to the people who make them, but also to the people who play them. That's why we've long provided players with the tools to create their own experiences, dating back to the Morrowind construction set. This year marked another major milestone for creations. With its expansion to Fallout 4 joining Skyrim and Starfield, we're proud to say creators have already earned more than $10 million in royalties from their work. And the main thing that most people are saying about that, if the people have made 10 mil, how much have you made as a company from that?
Yeah. And also the reliance on mods, but
yeah, I mean that's it, right? The creations is the modding tool, right? You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
and then how much does the modding tool enable longevity for your game, which is smart, you know what I mean? Same with GTA, right? Basically, with 5M, the longevity of that game came from roleplay, I would say personally, but Fallout is one of our biggest priorities today. The future of Fallout, by the way. Fallout 5 remains our long-range destination, and we have multiple Fallout projects in active development right now. Fallout 76 continues to be the home to millions of players exploring Appalachia together. With nearly 73 updates released to date, the journey is far from over, in fact. We have a major Fallout 76 expansion planned for next year, Raven Rock, a prequel story to Fallout 3.
Okay.
Fallout 4, the most award-winning game in the franchise, just celebrated its 10-year anniversary. Oh, well, it looks like we're getting a 10-year anniversary edition. And recently
Yeah.
passed over 35 million copies sold, continuing to attract a new audience every year. Every time they release a new season of Fallout, everyone goes to Fallout 4. The TV show.
Well, I know I did. So
Yeah, exactly. You just get the what
the
was
itch.
it? The itch. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
We also know many players want to revisit previous Fallout experiences. While we're not announcing any dates today, we have been working on remasters for both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas.
See, I did try playing Fallout 3 not too long ago, and it was rough to get into. So it's aged not beautifully. So it'd be cool to see a remastered version of that.
Yeah, so imagine Oblivion, where they didn't exactly remaster it, they just did the whole game. Outside of the graphics, they changed a lot. I mean, we'll see, because they did that really well. The Oblivion was a flawless W, I think, personally, for Bethesda, in the way that they were able to go. That was like a remaster plus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They went above and beyond. So if they can do that, because I think from what I understand, this is going to be done in the Fallout. The Creation 3 engine. So they're going to add basically this game into a Creation 3 engine, which will make it look flawless. So that Fallout 3 and the Fallout New Vegas sounds amazing. That's fucking great news. Couldn't give a fuck about this news. Fallout Shelter continues to be the most popular way to experience Fallout on the go. With more
That's
than
still going, okay.
Yeah, with more than 250 million players.
Oh, wow.
There's more ahead for Fallout Shelter, including new seasons. An unscripted Fallout Shelter television project is also in the works with our partners at Amazon Studios and Kilter Films. Unscripted Fallout Shelter television project is basically, I think I've seen an advert for this somewhere. It's basically going to be Big Brother, but in a Fallout Shelter, and you have
like a show.
Yeah, it's going to be a reality TV show called Fallout Shelter.
Okay. It's actually
it's
funny idea.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see how that works out. It's an
Yeah,
interesting idea.
You imagine them eating rad roach and shit like that, you know? That's going to be funny. We'd like to congratulate Kilter Films and Amazon Studios on the 10 Emmy nominations for Fallout Season 2. Production on Season 3 is already underway. Bro, Fallout TV show, hands up, sorry. That is an awesome TV show.
It is.
Very, very immersed in that world because of how much time I've spent in that world, personally, you know, especially in Vegas. I think Fallout New Vegas was the first Fallout I have fully completed, and then went and finished Fallout 3 before then finishing Fallout 4.
Definitely has an added charm if you like the games, because I do know, talking to coworkers, they found it an odd show, but like if you played the games, you see the
way more appeal behind it, right? And like, again, you're way more immersed and way more invested in something that you have context for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they make it in a way that it gives you context enough to understand that it's a TV show, but there's always more context. Like, as a player of the game, you notice way more than the average viewer,
exactly.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even how people die and the blood splatters, and you know,
Exactly. And while we won't host a traditional Fallout Day broadcast this year, we're already planning something special for Fallout 30th anniversary in 2027, when Fallout Day will be celebrated live in Washington, D.C. I imagine that might be when they announce some stuff that's coming up that we're going to read about. The Wasteland studio collaboration. The Wasteland continues to expand as we team up once again with our longtime friends at Obsidian Entertainment. We're happy to confirm they're working with us on a new Fallout project. We'll have more to share in the future. The
That's the
create
guys that made New Vegas, right?
that is the guys that made New
Yep.
Vegas that were, like basically, they worked together on that, and then I think they did Bethesda, even though that's probably the most popular in the cult of Fallout players. They didn't opt to use Obsidian again, and then Bethesda was bought by Xbox, and then Obsidian was purchased by Xbox, and then it was like written in the stars already that eventually, after Obsidian had released the second game, I can't remember what the game was called. It's on the Outer Space, I think it's called, or
okay.
something like that. Outer Space 2. I'm going to be completely wrong, and I have the internet here to give me. But once they'd completed that they would maybe, Outer Worlds 2, sorry. Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds 2, right?
Yeah.
So the ironic thing that I was always thinking that they made Outer Worlds, and like while it's a scaled back version of Starfield and very different in its own way, I just thought it was hilarious that Obsidian went and released Outer Worlds before Starfield came out. And there was some like very similar themes throughout both of them.
More, I never played the game, but it's a bit more of a comical theme, right? Yeah.
Less realism and more bright colors, you know what I mean? I guess you could say. It kind of mixes No Man's Sky, I would say, like in terms of graphical looks, and it was a bit shorter. I think it was like a 40 to 60 hour game as opposed to like, never ending. But it's what they wanted to do. I think they did a good job in those games. They were fun to play, but I always thought it was weird that they were both under the banner of Xbox and they still weren't working together. So it's good to see that they finally just sucked their pride up and said, let's bring in another studio who already has experience with the IP and let them do their own version, whether it's going to be New Vegas 2, which I don't think it will. I think it'll probably be a new
area,
city.
Yeah.
But it's maybe they go down like casino style route again, so you could go Atlanta, or I don't know, maybe like a New Orleans or some shit. I don't know, but it'd be good. It'd be fun. I'm sure. We're also bringing our teams closer together across Bethesda, ZeniMax Online Studios. Will partner closely with Bethesda Game Studios on the Elder Scrolls franchise, while continuing to deliver incredible new experiences for the Elder Scrolls Online. Season 1 Return of the Thieves Guild recently launched, and the team has more planned for the future. By aligning more directly across the franchise, we can create even better experiences for players. Bringing our teams closer together is helping us build a stronger foundation for everything we create next. I think that it just makes sense, right? That one of the biggest game studios that was paid billions for by Xbox utilizes some of the other studios under the Xbox banner if they have experience in those kind of areas, right? It just goes without saying, really. The Elder Scrolls and beyond. The foundation extends beyond our teams to the technology tools and systems that will prove the next generation of Bethesda's RPGs. Our teams are now developing the Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 on Creation Engine 3, a shared technology platform we've been building since Starfield launch. It allows our teams to support multiple projects simultaneously with new tools, rendering, and systems that define our games. Like, everyone's kind of complaining about the Creation Engine and how Creation Engine 3 may be too similar to Creation Engine 1 and 2. And whether or not they should just, utilize fucking
don't
a different
really
engine.
don't really have an opinion on it, but yeah, it's probably quite a while away, I would reckon. Anyway, just hope there's a bit more depth to it this time around than Starfield had.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, yeah. Like, I don't think Starfield was bad, but there was just a lot of frame drops and everything.
Well,
Inconsistency, I think, with the play.
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed my playthrough, but like I played through it once, and then like the second playthrough was like, okay, I'm just playing the same game again. You know, it's not like I didn't really feel like didn't have that replayability that Skyrim had or whatever.
Or Fallout,
Oblivion had.
right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I guess the main story and the side quest were like linear. Like
Yep.
you couldn't just, I don't know. I mean, you probably could just travel to the ends of the universe as soon as humanly possible and never do any of the shit and just live off side quests or whatever. But
You could, but then you would run in. I don't know how it is now. I
yeah, but
think
you
they
would
changed
run
that, but
into overpowered airships and then you just blow up constantly, right?
and the POIs would like repeat, you know, kind of the same thing in different layouts.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Okay, Fallout 5 is currently in pre-production. The Elder Scrolls 6 is our primary development focus today, with the majority of our team currently working on the next chapter of the franchise. With over 65 million copies sold, players are still exploring Skyrim 15 years later. But we know it's been a very long wait for the sequel. The next chapter is on the way. We were planned to be. We're where we plan to be, loving how it looks and playing it every day. Good for you, but we're not fucking playing it every day, Bethesda. We are not playing it every day.
Yeah.
Across Bethesda Game Studios, we're building for the future of Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and Starfield. We're investing in our technology, bringing teams closer together, supporting our live games, expanding into new forms of entertainment, and developing the next generation of Bethesda RPGs. We couldn't be more excited for what's ahead and wanted to share as much as we could today. We can't thank you enough for all you've given to us and these words, and we can't wait to continue them together. Bethesda Game Studios. Now, I wonder if they were kind of pressured by Xbox to start fucking releasing some kind of information regarding
I was
this.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's nice to know that they're working on all this shit, but like, you know, at the same time, they're just saying like we're working on shit. You know, it doesn't really give you any news of like what's ahead, right? Could be next year, 2 years ago. 3 years in the future,
By the way,
3 years.
guys, we are still here. Like when they did the shit, like the shadow drop of Oblivion that random day, and it was like, oh, it's out now, by the way, or whatever, or then it's out tomorrow. I'm like, what? That was fucking epic. I think that really boosted their.
I think I saw a little interview with Todd, and he said if he had his way, he would do every game like that. But,
yeah. I think, I mean, that really builds hype when you can just like do like a summer game show or something like that or whatever, and then go and release the video, and in that video, like, oh yeah, by the way, you can, or like you don't even say anything, and then it just says releasing right now. Go get it.
Yeah.
And like,
go get it. Yeah.
Everyone will just go, right, fuck it, I'm out of this. I'm out of this convention. I'm gonna go buy Oblivion. You know what I mean?
It worked on me. You know, I saw that trailer with Oblivion, and it like was like out now. And the first thing I did was pull out my wallet. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It worked for me too. I went and got it as well. So yeah, I think that's really good news. I think like people are talking about Fallout 5 not coming out till like 2030 plus, which is crazy to think like how old I'm gonna be when that game comes out. With regards to Skyrim, hopefully in the next 4 years. Hopefully.
How old is their trailer?
Let's find out.
It's like 8 years or something. I think it's 8 years because I remember that was at the end of my last job. So, and I've been working at my new job 8 years now. So that trailer is like 8 years old. Yeah. So they've been working on it for quite, unless they didn't have fuck all to show for it back then. And I don't know. They've been busy a while.
That trailer was 9 years ago.
Oh, there you go.
9 fucking years, dude. Jesus.
I wonder if they've been working on the game for 9 years, so that they just made something. And oh fuck, we made a trailer. Now
well, they were making Starfield, right? Weren't they during that whole process? So I don't. So I don't know if like someone was just designing the map, like one guy was just designing the whole map by himself. I'm like, yeah, look, okay, like I've designed the look of it. You can Just stick Elder Scrolls 6 on the fucking front of it, and then there you go. You can just chuck that at the world to keep them interested. Because like every year, it's like, are we gonna get it? Are we gonna get it? Are we gonna get it? And it never comes. You know, it's pure disappointment. So what they've done is like they're re-releasing and remastering for different years of consoles, or as the consoles have upgraded. But I think consoles are kind of stagnating now, right? Basically, PS5 and Xbox One. I don't think there's going to be a new console in the next 10 years, right? So
doubt it. Yeah.
Companies like Bethesda need to think about logically. Okay, well, we can't re-release the game on a newer console now. What do we need to do? We need to remaster all of our older games to bring it up to standard, right? The ones that didn't get the upgrade.
They could go the Rockstar route and start releasing it on the iPhone and the on the phones.
Yeah. I don't think the creation engine will work on an iPhone, you know, but
well, Red Dead Redemption, actually, I tried it and it's shit, but it runs, you know. I mean, but all in all, I mean, it's good to hear something at least, you know, knowing that there's something in the future. So even though the news doesn't tell us anything, I'm happy to hear that at least that's out there for us in the future, you know.
Yeah. So kudos to Bethesda on that. Some other notable news stories and updates for you guys. God of War Laufey has locked down an official release date for February 16th, 2027 for people that are interested in God of War. And also in other RPG news, Borderlands 4 is set for a content drop on July the 30th. I believe it's the 4th DLC release for Borderlands. In other gaming news today, I came across a story. A man was arrested after stealing $220,000 using malware-infested Steam games. A Florida man has been arrested following a federal criminal complaint alleging that he participated in a conspiracy to infest Steam users with malware and consequently steal from them. Authorities believe the attacker was not working alone and has stolen at least $220,000 worth of cryptocurrency from thousands of Steam users. Just a note to people out there who are downloading games: just be careful what games you download and make sure they're reputable. Make sure you actually invest some time into researching a game, especially some of these smaller publishers.
Yeah, more obscure ones.
Yeah. I don't really tend to go towards them personally myself, but just for any listeners out there who listen to this, whether past, future, present, just be careful, man, because you know you are effectively downloading something off the internet. And my parents always told me it's a bad thing to download stuff off the internet, but you know that was 30 years ago when we had dial-up internet. Yeah. So you know,
does kind of beg the question, you know, should Steam take some responsibility? But yeah. You know, at least check the games that you put on there. I don't know, man. It's a bit weird that even makes it through. But
yeah, again, I mean, there should be definitely content checks regarding something like that, right? In terms of, but then like, should they just hire like malware like security teams that work specifically on the fact that there's probably over a million games on Steam that they are going to have their work cut out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere like hundreds or thousands of games get added daily. Like it's a crazy amount of.
So it would probably be a case of maybe Steam using all their superior wealth that they have because it's one of the biggest companies in the world. Maybe they should create an AI generated tool that can go and search for all that shit that can do that work for them. So then, you know, the future is AI. Yeah. Unfortunately, whether people like it or not, that's the way that the future is going to be headed. Like more so than what it is now. The sooner people get on board with it, the better it is for humanity, I would say, personally. But anyway, we don't want to go into AI talk because that will split opinions. Okay, I believe you have some talking points, and I'm going to rest my voice while you go through some of that stuff.
Yes. So now with that news out of the way, we thought we would commit this podcast to a little talk between myself and Clusty. The last two we had some guests on, but we thought me and Clusty would touch base on a few things. We will dive in a little bit into our stories, our characters, and our experience streaming those characters. And I'll start off with mine, I suppose, which is that I've been streaming for a year now, right? And the last 8 months of that have been with Clem, and it has been one hell of a journey. It really has been. I started off the character just trying to do something new and original, which was just a goofy little tradesman. But as I started playing him, I kind of wanted to progress myself as a role player. So I started putting goals to myself. I wanted to learn how to do criminal role play. And that's how we kind of dived into that and explored how to really play someone different than myself, truly, truly different than myself. And then I just kept going from there, putting new and new challenges on myself. The latest challenge I put on myself is how to make good storytelling, which is why I've started using, for those that watch my stream, the Obsidian app, where we take notes and then we have a little graph view thingy that allows us to, it's actually displayed on the screen right there, which allows me to keep track of certain storylines and see what storylines I want to pursue and try to create engaging storytelling, trying to become not just a good role player, but also a great storyteller. And I've been enjoying the journey a lot, especially with Clem. He's been going 8 months strong now, ups and downs, found a great crew to role play with. And I'm really excited to what the next chapter will bring. And the next chapter, I'll try to focus on good storytelling, not just good RP, but also trying to see if I can chase down the interesting stories and truly think about what story I want to tell with the character. But yeah, Clusty, you also have your character. Maybe you can divulge on yours in the last couple of months.
So predominantly with my character Felix, with the opening of Prodigy 4.0, my main goal and aim for the character was given by, like, the context was given by the server in terms of we want this to be a slower paced server, or what I interpreted what they were saying as basically slowing it down, kind of the same vibe as what maybe potentially like a Red Dead server would be, right? Where people aren't just consistently hitting the same shit over and over again every single day, and like characters are built as opposed to over time, as opposed to just being a character off the rip. So my aim over the last 2 months has basically been to follow what roleplay has given me, right? The opportunities that have given me, and then just kind of stick with those. And then if other things branch off that naturally, then to, be a yes and kind of guy that just follows in those steps. And I think for the most part in my so far in the last 2 months of prod, it has been good, right? But I'm getting to the point now for the character where it's very stagnant, right? The business that my character is working in is kind of tailing off because certain RP that's going on in the server, whether or not logistics is even needed within the server, is it a valid thing? Because the server is predominantly economy based, and they want it to be like they were trying to increase player interaction basically, rather than the only places people interact is when you go buy food, right? So more people would get to know more people, heavily relying on more player interaction. So the businesses were all intertwined, whether it was from farming to selling to logistics, and logistics then selling to restaurants, and then mechanics getting materials from the mines but using logistics as a go-between. It kind of creates extra steps for roleplay and for roleplayability. But I think because a lot of this is it's almost like forcing people to talk to one another more so, right? I feel like because people are so accustomed to the way that the previous iterations of the server are, it didn't take long for people to go back to that kind of state of mind, whereas they were all up on board with the changes at the beginning. I think it became very apparent to a lot of people that sometimes change isn't necessarily needed for GTA, I think I liked what Prodigy did, and I just wish that everyone was kind of still on the same wavelength of like new character, slow role play, things don't need to be done. I think there are a few role players out there that are still leading the charge. I think one of them includes me, but I don't have the viewers or the kinship, right, to showcase that as much as some of the other people. But I do know that there are some well-viewed content creators and streamers out there that are still leading the charge on we know how to do this job, or we've got access to do this job, but we're still not going to do it yet. And they're pushing it back and pushing it back because I think they're trying to inherently tell the server shit doesn't need to be done day one, you know? And for my character personally, he's not done anything really in like to do with crime whatsoever, you know. Like now, only as of yesterday, I titled my stream "Enough is Enough" because I think it's got to the point in the story where, you know, he wasn't earning too much money from the business and the business was losing money, so every time he clocked into work it was losing money, and like I needed a reasonable reason to start going or bring my character back into the crime world. And I think not having any money to pay bills, and the business he's a CEO of now is losing money, is kind of like, oh, I need to find alternative ways to make money now. And I think that was like the branch that I needed. For the last few weeks, I've kind of been dooming a bit, personally, but I took a well-rested break and jumped on a Red Dead server with the wife the other day, and I had like an epiphany of like, why am I not enjoying my stream? And my stream's probably suffering because of how much I'm dooming in character. And I just remember I had to tell myself, like, you play games here and you role play and you stream because you enjoy it, not because it's your 9 to 5. You know, this is something I do for fun, and I need to remember that more. So genuinely,
I had that epiphany when I logged in, like this was months back when I played what was his name, Guy Lombardo, right? I wanted to, like, I was feeling kind of stuck on Clem, right? And then I said, okay, let's play something else. And then you kind of realize, like, you have so much going on for that character, like you shouldn't mope to yourself like, what should I do, you just have to chase the story sometimes, right? I guess it's kind of what you're saying, which is then something I started doing. I put on a little challenge for myself. I said, okay, if I want something more out of it, I got to look for it. And I put on some challenges to my character and to myself. And then I started chasing those challenges. And then I started enjoying it more again because I was challenging myself to try something new, to expand the horizons of the storyline.
Yeah, I think we've always been the kind of people that just explore the opportunities that are given, right? So, for example, in yesterday's stream, for anyone who wasn't present, after I kind of come in with that new mentality, it didn't take more than sort of 10 minutes after going live where an incident had happened in roleplay where a character had been run over by, or like his car had been hit by police, and then like he was role-playing injuries, like he broke his legs and he was crawling on the floor, but he had his camera out so it looked funky and funny as well at the same time, and it happened to be a character that I've interacted with before. And rather than just drive off, whereas that would have been a scene regardless of me being part of it, I was like, you know what, stop, I'll give aid and try and help the guy, you know, and role play that out. And then it ended up being my character being called as a character witness, or a witness to the crime, which I didn't witness it, but I lied on in court so that this guy could win his court case. But it ended up with me going off, collecting some fruit and veg, which was where I was heading anyway, to getting a text saying, on a phone call saying, get to court now, we're suing him in small claims court. So I went, and like, just from me stopping in that instance, maybe before I wouldn't have stopped because I was dooming so hard. But this time I did stop with the new mentality and the new outlook of roleplay, and just resetting, I think, more so than anything. It's just a reset in my brain that me stopping enabled so much more RP to come from it, you know, and more interactions with other people that I don't normally roleplay with. So, but yeah,
that's something that's something I definitely learned with climb especially is uh how do we even like well, you just kind of gave the example through a story, right? But like taking the time to stop when something happens and kind of use that situation, even though you have like a more pressing matter, like you want to go a place or you want to do something, but because that situation happened and you fully commit to the scene that is placed in front of you, gives you so much if you do make a conscious effort of doing that. Um, Sometimes I find myself, especially like what you say when you're like a bit dooming a bit or you're a bit like you're unhappy with something or how something went down, and you're kind of in your own head like, fuck this, I don't want to do this. But then you kind of ruin your own fun in it, really. And then if it's easier said than done, but keeping that open mind to always just totally go at whatever is happening really offers a lot. That's definitely something I've learned and something you just explained as well, right? Just
Yeah,
that, yeah.
it's just like like remembering like the fundamentals of what RP is and understanding that everything in roleplay is an opportunity for more roleplay, right? And that instance was a prime example of just, you know, if you just walk on by someone, that's a missed opportunity for RP.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
while it's good to be around and doing your own thing and for content for streamers, especially like, you know, maybe as viewers they might have preferred you to carry on going and doing what you were doing and not interact with that person, but for you as the creator, you have to find other things, right? Because it isn't just about what the viewers want at the end of the day, and it's a balance between what's good for stream and what's good for content and what is good roleplay and what is roleplay, you know. And just looking for that.
And longevity of your character as well.
Exactly. Like, because like I say, like it was growing a bit stale for my character, and I didn't know where to go. I was kind of in a quandary of like, what should I be doing here? But yeah, so you can kind of see in the video the guy just crawling on the floor with his camera in his hand, which is kind of funny. But anyway, it was a good day. It was a good day for me, and definitely, I think starting to evolve the character now, right? Like I can now start, like I'm happy with 2 months being the point of where I can actually go and start learning some of the basic crime aspects of the server. Whereas pretty much everyone else, I would say, other than maybe a handful of people at this point, um, most of everyone knows everything about crime, right? And I could say that I know all this stuff, meta information from things and clips I've seen in over the past few months, but I don't know any of that, majority of that in character. So it's going to be fun exploring the criminal world while like maintaining my position as a CEO in character. But I look forward to seeing what happens. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on the last 2 months.
Maybe something you can dive a bit deeper in, because it's like we used to play together quite often, but now we obviously don't. And like we said, we haven't touched base in quite a long time. For me, recently, this last couple of months have been like an exploration of what makes a fun character, what makes a good story, and kind of constantly trying to actually not just well, basically what you're saying here is, for example, you could go into crime, right, and you could learn these crime mechanics and just engage with them, and that's fine, right? But turning it into something meaningful for your character, like for me, if I want to do that, I have to constantly, really consciously, like after stream and during the day when I'm not playing, thinking of, for myself, that's the way I do it anyway, and I want to know how you do it. Make goals like, okay, I want my character to do this, but that means he will have to become more paranoid or more calculated, right? And then I come back the next day with the next session and I think, okay, I'm going to do this now, but I want to do it in this certain way. And that's how I enjoy myself right now, constantly trying to progress not just the story, but the character itself. And he changes as well.
Yeah. So for me, it's like every day that I'm not playing in a server, I'm constantly thinking of ways to improve upon my character and natural ways for my character to take different branches on its timeline, right? Like it's almost like I have an idea of an ending for a character already, for this character of Felix, right? Like Whether I ever get there is a different matter, but it's about like trying to find a natural branch that works best for what makes sense for my character. Currently, it didn't really make sense for the longest time for me to go back into crime, even though I had buddies around that were getting involved in crime. I was opting to go, well, I'm like, I'm an ex-con trying to make it back into the civilized world, you know, as part of his law. So, I think consciously every day, and as like you said, I maybe I don't have goals, but I have ideas of things that I wish to achieve, and it's trying to find the most and best natural way for that to happen in story. And I think genuinely for me, it's not necessarily about the things that I'm going to do. I have already set up like my character was ex-army and ex-private sector worker, right? So he would do private sector jobs where he would kind of like the TC character kind of thing, except he's not militia, he's ex-military. Do you know what I mean? Where we would set up jobs, or I'd be given like a document, which would be a job. Like they're gonna give me intel of like, I'll get a random piece of information to say like there's a USB or documents or stuff that are hidden within a store that are in circulation. We need those documents. Like build yourself a team and get that job done. All right, that's kind of what I've been setting up, and I've just been trying to like, while I do have like 2 competent people that are very well known on YouTube and streaming on Twitch, I feel like I'm forcing that somewhat. So I've just kind of pulled back on it a little because I don't want it to feel like too heavy. Like I feel like with my characters specifically, I take them very seriously, right? And like I was always having like a thought in my head, like my characters all of my characters are way too serious. They're not enough. Like it'd be different if Damien Cross was here. I'm not gonna lie, because I would have someone to banter backwards and forwards with, and that we would take the piss out of each other, like your GTA characters or whatever. I just feel like I've curated these really serious characters, and somewhat I don't want to just do the seriousness all the time. Like I do want to have, I mean, it's a server in 2026, right? Based in 2026, so there is opportunity for comedy and laughter as well, you know.
That's beg an interesting question I'm struggling with right now, actually. So, like you said, you establish a character, right? Felix, right? He's a serious guy. And I've kind of had the opposite with Clem. He was an unserious guy, and I'm trying to turn him into a serious guy. But I don't want to start a new story because I don't want to, there's too much going on, and I'm having too much fun with the current character. But how do you progress into something where there is already such an established long history of
like a personality, right? A different personality trait.
Exactly, and people already know you as such, and it's kind of hard for them to suddenly view you as something else. How do you move that? Like for you, it would be, how do you suddenly make Felix a bit more of maybe a loose guy that cracks jokes while he never used to do that? And for me, it would be, how do I turn him into a mob boss when he used to be such a goofy little guy? Like
I think
I get.
For me, I think your progression is a lot easier than mine, because mine's like regression as opposed to yours is being progression, right? I would regress from such a serious character to someone who can have a laugh and joke with people. But maybe I think for my character, it would be thinking, how would that naturally work IRL, right? How would, like, in your own life, right? Someone who went to war, like my character, right, 4 times and was working in the private sector, you would imagine that those guys are pretty fucking serious, right? While they might have a laugh with people that are really close to them. That's how I'm going to go about my adaptation to his personality, is that the closer I become to certain people, the more I'd have a laugh with them, more that I'd have a joke with them, right? Like if you enter the inner circle of Felix's life, then that's where you're going to get the more jokey sort of conversations, you know what I mean? But if you're surface level business, you know what I mean, you're gonna get serious Felix, you know. And then I can open up to those people, and then the stream can start seeing more of a comedic side in the content. Now, for you, I think yours is like a tale old as time, brother. I think if you watch every like Once Upon a Time in New York, as an example, right? A street kid who starts off with like, you know what I mean? Robert De Niro is like a street kid that ends up growing up on the wrong side of the tracks or whatever. Kind of starts out at the bottom, which you did. You worked your way up to the head of the family, which is kind of that same story.
And got demoted again.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, that's unfortunate because that's a backward step in the story, unfortunately. But I think I genuinely think you've made the natural progression, and I think, from what I've seen, I think you ooze command and dominance in conversation and respect. You ooze like demanding respect. I think, I know you've struggled with it, but from an outsider's perspective, it looks like it worked. Whatever you're doing in terms of like dominating conversation and making sure people are fucking listening, extorting people, and doing all the things that you think makes sense for your character, while also taking inspiration from gangster films of like whether it's mob bosses or anything like that, Sopranos, whatever.
That's actually maybe a good question for you. Like that's what I take a lot of inspiration from. Always have, right? Even with Damien Cross, I took inspiration from Jimmy Hoffa. I'm just really into mobster stuff, The Sopranos, the Wire. That's the sort of stuff I absolutely love and adore. That's what I take my inspiration from. But I do wonder where you take your inspiration from at Felix.
With Felix, it's more of an amalgamation of characters, right? He's just some London geezer who, like, the lore of his character was basically just something I came up with that, like, in the last iteration, because I was basing my character as like a security for a musician. So it was like, okay, that's what the character's going to be to start with. That's his entry level to coming into the server. What I'll do is I'll just give him a specific kind of background. Now, in terms of like inspiration for him specifically, there was no one person, but the actions and the ideas that he has for company, like especially in the company I'm in, I'm looking at like Ozark right now, right? The KC mob and the way that the Irish guy, the Irish, I don't know what the actor's name is, but he was in Power, the English, like the ginger guy in the white guy in Power.
Yeah.
He plays like the son of the owner of the KC mob, right? They're a trucking company, logistics company, but he's the one who gets his dick shot off by the crazy hillbilly woman.
Yeah.
But like ideas like that, and Tulsa, of like where, like, I want to. It's a slow thing for my character, but those are like, there's definitely shows that I take inspiration from, whether it's ideas or like character arcs that I will go on for whatever that I haven't put into fruition just yet. But there is definitely a list I have of things that I wish to do from my character that I've taken inspiration from TV shows, films. Because, you know, for the longest time, mate, you know this probably more so than anyone, is that I used to watch Sopranos when it was on TV still, on Channel 4 at 9 p.m. when I was a kid, and I used to had to have my TV on mute with subtitles turned on, so that I could watch it, because I shouldn't have been awake at that time, you know. That's how long ago my enjoyment of, like, especially gangster films, I raised myself on gangster films and TV shows. So looking over that for inspiration, again, Sopranos is a beautiful one, right? Except they worked in sanitation, I believe, right, and construction rather than logistics. But there's certain ways and certain things that they do that we can use for inspiration, for sure. But currently I don't have any like characters specific that's getting me inspired, do you know what I mean, or giving me inspiration for my own character.
The reason I looked at Sopranos a lot, especially recently with the involvement of Clem. First I was looking at Tulsa King, but Tulsa King has like how do I explain this properly? Like if they progress the storyline, it's with like new people. You see him doing actual things, and in The Sopranos, it's like a very limited amount of actors, but yet they still progress the storyline. And I was thinking to myself, like, how do I progress Clem while I'm stuck with, like, you can only role play with so many people. And they managed to make a really beautiful show by sticking with like very select, like you only see a very select few people on screen, but by what they say and what they do and how they tell their stories, they still progress a storyline. While Tulsa King, every time the storyline gets progressed, he extorts a new shop, he meets a new gang, you know what I mean? And that's kind of why I started
Yeah.
looking to The Sopranos a lot more, because it's always the same people on screen, but yet
With
their
a
story
few
progresses.
additions of like characters brought in every season, right? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there'll be an additional couple of people, a new head boss for an like opposing family in New York or whatever, right? A new issue, a new problem.
Exactly.
That most of The Sopranos was internal issues and conflict, right? Like a
And that
lot.
is what, like, and that's what you like see a lot in my storyline with Clem. It's a
Exactly,
lot of
yeah.
internal issues, and that's, I guess, kind of a byproduct of that, because I look at that show and then I think, oh, how can I use this? And then, you know, I incorporate a bit more paranoia. I incorporate distrust. I incorporate competition with other crew members. You know, like, and I do often wonder if I was watching another show or looking at another show for inspiration, because that's the main one right now I use, how different my storyline would be if I used something else.
It would, like, potentially. I think you having, like, especially in like the 1900s, having paranoia and things like that is well justified as well. Like, realistically, that for a character to have those kind of feelings, because you never know when you're gonna get shot in the Wild West, right? Like, realistically, that was the daily occurrence. Like, you could be a wife of 2 children and just get randomly rolled up on one day and shot and killed for no reason. Like, it was lawless land. So I think yeah,
I would like to dig into one more character question before we jump into maybe some more streaming like talking points that I have here, which is something that has been kind of on my mind as well, because this is a character I've been playing for 8 months, and I never played a character that long. Though also I never truly killed off a character. I just, you know, finished the story with Damien. You know, we went Damien and your character at the time. We just went to Cayo Perico, right? But like, when do you retire a character, and do you need to retire a character? Is it healthy to keep playing the same character for like a year, 2 years? When is too much, you know? When do you say, okay, I start over?
The thing for me, right, is it's dependent on your content, right? If your content is like, it's a very weird one, because Red Dead is such a story-based role play where death is a part of every story, right? And it's quite common. Now, if you was to, like, some people just never kill off their character, right? Like, for example, the guy that's on screen right now in the white shirt, he's had the same character, plays the same character for the last 5, 6, 7 years, right? Same with a lot of the streamers in GTA. It's probably a lot easier to say, like, continue that character, not only because it's kind of your identity as a streamer, right? If you become more well known as a streamer for the person that you play, they want to see that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you watch a show for the main character.
Exactly.
We are show presenters. Yeah.
Exactly. So you think of it like Sopranos. We'll just use that as an example. It wouldn't be much of a show after one season if Tony got killed, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, while some shows go down the route of changing out the lead character after a season, it doesn't always work out for those shows. You know, it is not long before they're axed from the network, because
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, right? Like, I do treat the way I treat my streaming is I treat it as a show, right? Like, it's 4-hour episodes every day. That's why I kind of like limit it to 4 hours as well, just for myself. But also, I feel like that's something that people can stay hooked to. They can 4 hours is something that it's not too. It's not like a 10-hour streamer. You know, it happens so many shit that like it's impossible to follow the storyline along from beginning to end every day. But as a role player, like, I get that from like a perspective of wanting to create a fun story for people to watch, you know, and you have that identity and people want to watch a certain story. But as a role player, I kind of struggle with it, because sometimes I want to do something else as well. Sometimes I'll get an itch like, oh, I'll click on Clem and I like, actually today I kind of feel like playing that character I thought of yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, is it healthy to like play same character for 6 years like that guy did? Is it still fun after that long? That's kind of like my worry most.
I think that's when it becomes the difference between, like, you're a role player who creates content through roleplay as opposed to a content creator who role plays. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think a content creator who role plays can kind of just play the same character or just like randomly jump on a lore character. So I think there's potentially another option for you, right? Going to the other side of the field, because a lot of role players will do that rather than creating a brand new character for to go potentially down the same kind of route that they already done with, like, say Clem. Say you created just another civilian that went into crime. Rather than doing that, you just you can showcase the other side of the server, the lore side, I guess you could say, like, and just see, like, we've spoken previously personally about like the investigative side of police work and how fun that could be and how fun it would be to see that. Now imagine if you're thinking that and I'm thinking that and Duff was thinking that, then imagine there might be some other people that might think that as well, that could find like someone Sherlock Holmes-esque working under the police force and actually going above and beyond to do that kind of stuff is another avenue. But I think it's all about you, right? It's your character, it's your stream and your content at the end of the day. If you so choose that maybe one day you want to switch it up, then I feel like you should have the freedom to do so and not necessarily think to yourself, is my stream's going to suffer, right? I think
yes, but then actually it's a nice transition into like a question I have, and I often wonder: are we role players or are we entertainers? Right? Like, obviously, I play games to have fun, right? If 10 people watch, 20 people watch, or 30 people watch, whatever, I'm playing this to have fun. But the reason we stream is because we want to entertain, and we do enjoy having that audience to share it with. Do you see yourself as an entertainer when you stream, or do you just see yourself as a role player who streams? I kind of view myself as an entertainer, and I take that that responsibility when I stream. I feel a certain responsibility to entertain, and I enjoy that entertaining aspect of it as well. It's part of why I do it. It's kind of like the side hobby to roleplay for me personally.
Okay, so for me now, I would say that I'm a role player who's giving my stream and my content is like my role play is my content, right? I do think that we are entertainers in some respect. I think that when I was full-time, it was all about entertainment. That's all I thought about, right? But then when I was full-time for over a year, just doing it every single day, 8+ hours a day, from morning till evening, I think it got to the point, obviously, for me personally, that I'm watching viewers. I like, in terms of numbers, I'm overanalyzing almost every detail of every day, and that's when I lost the enjoyment of actually what I was doing, which is playing computer games ultimately.
Yeah.
And that's the double-edged sword of growing in popularity and having a consistent number of viewers every single day that tune in specifically to watch what you're going to get up to today and what random shit's going to go on, to then like overanalyzing things outside of like the streams, and then like I'm not doing it, like I lost some viewers here, why am I losing viewers at these moments, and then it just became too poisonous for my own mind to think that, am I even enjoying this anymore,
I get that, but that's because there's an income attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Which right now we don't have that worry, right? I can understand that being an issue, especially when there's an income attached to that, right? But that's why I would never want that to be a thing, because then I can see that happening very fast. right?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is basically when I was full time, I was focused on being an entertainer as well as a role player. Okay, but now I'm more focused on like having natural fun whilst creating great content in a story. So I think for me personally, if you're enjoying the game that you're playing and you're talking to chat or talking in general when there's no chatters, right? Eventually people will gravitate towards people that are having fun, because who doesn't like to have a laugh and have fun with someone who's also having fun, and to be a part of that. That's my opinion. So the reason why I was talking about the full-time stuff is because I learned a valuable lesson from that I lost who I was as a streamer through the process of full-time streaming and what I enjoyed about streaming. I enjoy streaming. I enjoy interacting with new people and old people that I know, and that is one of the greatest things, to actually have people to talk to. Like, trust me, like it has been lonely this last couple of months, like, but I am still here, still pushing on and still going, because I know ultimately I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and that's what I needed to reset about the other day. Just focus on just enjoying what I'm doing as opposed to overthinking. What the content is, because regardless of whatever happens in roleplay, content goes up, content comes down, content goes up, content goes down, and as long as you are staying consistent with your outlook on what you're doing as fun, people will watch that. That's the way I see it.
Very true.
That's just my opinion on that matter, anyway.
Another thing which I enjoy a lot actually recently is kind of explain the creative process, right? Is that like I often wonder, like, because I don't see anybody else like in a streaming scape do this, right? Like I spend a lot of time on my characters and I'll do it on stream, like writing stuff out and explaining why I did something, or how I'm going to progress the character or what I have in mind. But if I think of it as like a TV show perspective, right, which is kind of how I treat my streams, I play the game to have fun, but I want them to be like, they're kind of like TV shows. It's like a series you're watching, but you don't ever see a TV show do that, and you don't ever see another streamer do that. But it's something I very, very much enjoy, and I wonder if you don't ever do that. You don't really do that, do you? Or do you do that? Do you ever share like why you're doing something, or do you share the creative process, like, or do it all behind the scenes?
It like in terms of showing the creative process, like the example I was using.
Yeah, like you doing the character progression with like the task is given and stuff,
So there are definitely some things that I give to context to why my character might be doing something, why he's not doing something. I definitely speak openly about that kind of stuff.
Do you think that's immersion breaking, or do you think that's just something?
I don't know. I mean, I do it because I feel like sometimes people might need context, right? Especially new viewers, right? So if someone just jumps in the stream and they're like, why are you doing this? Like, they don't need to ask that question, because I often explain sometimes why I'm doing something. But then, like, I noticed that you explain almost every action. Kind of like a script, right? So a script will have dialogue, but it will have action as well, right? You're kind of giving the action to what's going on in the dialogue. Do you know what I mean? So you'll get just get screen direction as well as the as well as the script when you're reading the script, right? So I feel like that's kind of what you're doing. You're summarizing the script that you just read or you're about to read. Do you know what I mean? I think that works well, specifically with Red Dead. I think it's way more theatrical, and you're surrounded by a lot more theatrical minded viewers and role players in general. I don't think necessarily, if you watch 99% of GTA role players, they don't explain their actions at all. So we might be like, a few diamonds in the rough, or like a few coins in a few rare coins in a well. But like, I don't think it translates to GTA as well, like over explaining certain things. I think the element of me just creating things out of character, like a document, for example, that I receive randomly, it just appearing and then me role playing, going into getting some mail, going to Live Invader, downloading the USB for the document, and then it appearing on my phone, is way more immersive for the GTA audience, I think. Just because it's like, oh shit, here we go. What's going on here? Kind of how we did the story in GTA before. Like we were everything
69.
we can't Anarchy 69, and we kind of created all the things there like behind the scenes and then exposed it on the stream. It was very immersive for people that tuned in for that stuff, and people love that kind of thing.
Side note, I bumped into the main antagonist in that storyline, the lady miner who ran the company in Red Dead today, actually.
Did you today or
yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yukins, the main antagonist in that like Anarchy 69 storyline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was interesting. Then I have like one final thing I want to dig into here in my list. Why do some stories hook us more than others? Like I watch a lot of streams, at work, and I tend to gravitate towards very serious stuff. Like I enjoyed the Draft Roddy, for example, The Judge. I don't know if you ever saw that one, but that was like a very intense character. That's the stories I gravitate to, and I kind of don't really enjoy the comedy RP scene as much as I used to. But I do wonder what you enjoy, because you play a serious character. But is that also the streams you would gravitate to if you're watching streams?
Like I know Draft Rory that you're talking about, and I know his is very like it's a cinema, it's a movie, right? He tries to create very cinematic scenes, and which I think is a great thing. I just don't like. I think that is ultimately tailored towards Red Dead, and I don't know why. I think there are some great role players in GTA that have done great scenes. I just don't know where these, like, they're few and far between. I think a lot of them probably end up on Red Dead because of how theatrical they are and what they want to create, you know?
It's actually a good point, actually, because I don't even know why. Why is that like in GTA less so? Like, what makes it?
I don't know. I think, like I say, because GTA's been around for so long, people are kind of stuck in their ways of how they RP, and like, while there are serious scenes that happen, like kidnapping, like there was a serial killer on Prodigy, and he was curating these scenes, and they were so immersive. He was a news reporter, and he would basically always be first on scene for these murders or like these alleged, like, you know, whatever. Yeah. And he would always, and then eventually, like, cops were like, "Oh, you need to stay here. You're under arrest." And it kind of like the W mentality of the cops in GTA RP, which is so immense, like it's crazy. It's beyond me. They could take a leap out of Ranch's book when it comes to conflict. I'm not even joking. Which is saying something. They're so W hungry that they think that them winning is their role play, and it kind of ruined his story. And I don't think he's in the server anymore. I think he kind of like, and this was someone that was creating great scenes, and you could tell that this was someone that went above and beyond, probably out of character, to think of great ideas to implement into his stream and into role play. I genuinely don't know. I think genuinely what's happened is, over the years, and then with the release of Red Dead, a lot of the more serious role players are either gravitated to one server on GTA. Okay, so whether it's Onyx or whatever, No Pixel or whatever, which I still think, you know, is a modicum of way more non-serious RPers that just kind of are self-inserts for the most part. Whereas Red Dead, I think, houses all, if not the majority, of serious role players, like that want serious storylines, cinematic things, because of how much of a beautiful game it is. The setting's beautiful. It's super immersive. Like, you're forced into immersion way more, you know.
Forced to believe it's just the community that plays these games, because thinking back on how we played Damien Cross and stuff, and like 69, we had some immersive cinematic scenes in that as well. To be fair, scripted, right? To an extent, because we kind of curated those scenes ourselves and went into them. But I don't know. I struggle to believe it's just a community. It has to be somehow like the way the game is played or the way characters move. I just struggle to put my finger on it. But there is a massive difference in how a scene gets presented in Red Dead than it does in GTA.
I think with it's almost like Red Dead has like an understanding of like it's way more serious, right? And I think that's the consensus across the board anyway, right? Like people aren't going into a Red Dead server. Well, there are like the odd trolls,
big comedy,
right?
Yeah, well, there's a fairly big comedy scene, I feel like.
Well, I think while the comedy scene could still be serious roleplay, right? You could be playing a comedian or like a jester or whatever, right? There's definitely like and like RPing, being drunk with the boys in a saloon and you just doing stupid shit, right? But like the difference is that I feel like it's almost like like I say, an unwritten rule that it's a little bit more serious of a roleplay environment. And if you're like 80% of your server is serious in their roleplay and not laughing at people's jokes, it's hard for comedy to be one of the main things within that server, right? Whereas GTA is predominantly like 60-70% of just people just having a laugh with their mates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, I don't actually know the answer to this. Realistically, I think my opinion is probably flawed in many ways, and someone could come and say something right now and be like, "Okay, actually, you're probably right. Actually, like completely flip what I've said on its head." But I generally don't know. Like from my opinion, I feel like Red Dead's a little bit more serious in terms of the RP. It's a beautiful environment to have serious role play and create cinematic scenes. I think GTA has looked the same for the last 14 years. It's kind of and with people's first experience of playing GTA being like GTA Online, like where everyone just fucking blew each other up constantly and it was just never ending. I think you're never gonna lose those kind of people that want to just fuck someone over for having a laugh or whatever. Like, and there's not less people role play in GTA. It comes down to less people role play in GTA than Red Dead, right? You have way more people that actually role play in Red Dead than you do in GTA. Every server on GTA is probably 50% people actually role play. The others are there playing themselves or an iteration of themselves, So I don't know.
I don't have the answer neither. I just always found it an interesting split.
The original thing was like what hooks you to a storyline, right? That was the original question. What hooks you in to
for me,
the story?
And for me it is those like what to judge is those like heavy stakes constantly heavy high stakes is what like hooks me.
I think for me, like I watch. Sometimes I don't watch a stream for the story. I watch the stream for the stream. I've been a Twitch and a whatever viewer for the longest time, 15 years probably. I prefer watching Twitch to TV most of the time, if I'm completely honest, because TV is oversaturated with absolute horseshit for the most part. I find it way more entertaining to stick on a stream sometimes than whatever, or a YouTube video. In terms of what hooks me on, like what I want to watch, it's just however I feel that day. Like I know that I can go and watch Serukka if I want to watch something serious, if I'm in the mood for something serious. It's like no different to a TV show, right? Like before all of this was around, like you get home from school, like what are you going to put on? You can put on cartoons. Are you in the mood for cartoons today? Or are you going to go and watch, I don't know, The Queen's Nose, which is like a semi-serious demonic TV show or whatever, about a magic coin. Just whatever you feel like, I guess, on the day kind of hooks me But again, like if I'm invested in, like if I was invested in your story, like I'd been watching, I'd want to carry on watching like this iteration of your
Eh,
chapter 2, you know, because I haven't seen it much.
You
So
bring up an interesting point, though. Like, main reason I said draft story is like for the story, but like there are streams that I just enjoy for the stream as well, right? There are people that I just watch because I enjoy the way the stream is presented, not necessarily like I might not watch like for 3 days, but it doesn't really matter because it's not as story heavy and it's just a fun stream to watch. You know?
yeah, and final
Yeah.
point on this is that I don't, a lot of the time, as someone who streams as well and tries to create content, I look at, I don't just watch streams to watch streams because I enjoy it. Sometimes it's research for me. Sometimes it's just a case of what are they doing? Like, how are they acting? And like someone that like I would say is a peer of mine that I look up to would be Mr. K's character, right? So the guy
Yeah.
like Lord Cabun who plays Mr. K, that is someone right there who has played the same character for like 8 years or 7 years, right? And literally played the same character the whole time and creates content out of thin air.
He's a master.
Like
Yeah.
consistently, right? And he's the #1 RP streamer in the world, right? In terms of English speaking role player, he's the #1. Now,
Yep.
if you can't try and take some inspiration or some like knowledge from how he does things, and that'll be why I tune into a stream now and again, just to kind of see like, you know, like how he perfected, like he's curated a group of people around him, kind of like you have, right? But he's able to just randomly, I don't know how much thinking outside, because he doesn't explain like his process, right? And his interaction with chat is very limited as well, because there's always so much going on in his in the role in the server that he's in.
Yeah.
But he's just a master of understanding that like you can go from one scene to the next scene to the next scene, kind of how we used to do it in GRX with our guys. We were going from one scene to the next scene to the next scene. I feel like he is the master at going from one scene to the next and just being able to fulfill like 8+ hours of content that keeps it engaging. So yeah, sometimes I watch streams just to, now I'm fucking glazing the guy, but I've just watched streams for inspiration and to take in knowledge. Like it's almost like going to school for class, you know. I'll just
Yeah.
sit there and think about what he's doing, not to copy or anything, but take certain things that he does as a content creator, streamer, and role player, and how I could adapt some of those things into my stream or whatever, you know. You learn from the best, right? That's what you should be doing. You should be learning from the people that are above you, or
Yeah,
else
definitely.
you're never gonna progress in life, realistically, right?
Something I've been doing myself as well, just kind of seeing what works for them and then seeing like, oh,
So
okay.
how can I adapt that
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of outlook into my character and my stream, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have a specific question you want to ask, I have one final question.
Let me have a look. I did write some notes this morning. I just had some notes about growing as a streamer. We were talking about streamers and streaming quite a bit in the episode, so I just put like for like a cover to cover most bases that growing as a streamer, the consistent saying is expect slow growth at first. Whatever avenue you decide, whether it's roleplay or just streaming in general, don't expect to be famous overnight by any means. Unless you're really good at editing TikTok videos and you know you can pay a shit ton of money to get that out there to the world. Streaming consistently is always a good one. Like recently, I've heard that actually it is for the last year or so, I've heard that streaming 4 hours is a good number. Streaming less is more. If you can cut down, kind of what Serukka's been doing. I don't do it as much because my 4 hours starts very late in the evening and I get off and then I just don't have time. But clipping those 4 hours into whatever, if you can make some clips out of there and push out some content elsewhere, is always good because you never know, you might build an audience outside of it and then you can transpose those over to your live streams. Talk even when chat is quiet, kind of what I was talking about earlier. The last 2 months have been rather quiet, other than Serukka, and then Coyote coming in last night, and a few people here and there. But always talk as if you're talking to 100 people. Kind of like without over it. Like for me personally, I don't over explain what I'm doing, like we discussed previously. Because I like to leave room for surprise, maybe some is like the surprise factor if everyone was to actually watch the streams and stuff. And also don't compare your progress to larger creators. While we were just talking about taking inspiration on certain things, like if someone has more viewers than you, I wouldn't compare your progress to their progress. Realistically, you're your own person and own streamer.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's if you're gonna emulate something, you're just gonna, lie to yourself basically, and kind of what we talked about before as well, right? For anybody who's interested in streaming something, is you gotta have fun with it, right? The minute you don't enjoy it anymore, it's over,
yeah.
right? If you focus too much on certain things.
So another point that I had written down here, specifically with RP, like especially if you're trying to grow a stream and you're new to streaming or you're new to RP, is networking naturally through RP rather than self-promoting. So the idea that is kind of what I've been doing personally. I followed RP that just so happened to be with bigger streamers. Okay, now I've not gone out of my way to tell these people that are, my eyes are green or whatever. I've not gone out of my way to say any of that. It was actually posed to me the other day in someone's chat, do I stream, from one of their lead mods. Because people were asking for Felix, my character, to stream. So that they could always see other angles and other parts of the story that was going on. So which, I responded eventually. But I was not trying to go out of my way to self-promote within their community, I would like that. I could have done that weeks and weeks ago and said, oh, by the way, I stream. But I'm not kind of going to gloat within someone, because then it's like, oh, it's just another guy trying to fucking get famous off of someone else's hard work, which is not my intention.
And both you and I have experienced that, like people inserting themselves into your like storyline purely with that goal, right? And you can immediately tell.
Yeah. So network naturally is kind of what I've been doing, like kind of working networking naturally as best I can. And then over time, you'll notice, like I did notice that yesterday, my viewership went from its average of 1-2 viewers up to 6 and even higher. So yesterday was the peak that I had for viewership, and it's because I've networked naturally and put in a lot of time and effort to network naturally over the last 2 months. Rome wasn't built in a day, ladies and gentlemen. It takes time, and growth is small when you're streaming. It's even smaller when you're streaming on Kick. That I can tell you. Unless you're really forcing yourself into situations which could go both ways, Respect other creators' storylines is like something new for newer role players, like respecting the creators' storylines. Whoever's doing something, just respect that, maybe they are pushing to go a certain angle, and understand that maybe you need to take an L in that room. Reading the room is one of the most important things when it comes to roleplay, and again, streaming kind of thing. But yeah, but just remember, while failures might be an L for you, sometimes failures make the best content, is what I've put here. You can always make great content out of being arrested, losing fights, unexpected betrayals, or anything like that, or failed robberies. Whatever it is you're doing, understand that there is always a story to be made when it comes to and creating content. Don't take the basic bitch way out of it and be like, oh fucking hell, mate, W chasers. Like that. Yes, everyone is a W chaser. Everyone is a W chaser. It makes no sense to not be a W chaser sometimes, but understand, read the room, and just say, right, I'm losing, I've lost, let's just let's try and make some content out of this situation, as opposed to just being like, fuck these motherfuckers, you know what I mean, and hate it on stream because people don't want to listen to it, even though they might clip you and put it on YouTube and get fucking thousands of dollars for it. Sometimes it's not good look for you as a streamer. It can go against you quite badly. So, but yeah, turn funny moments into shorts on TikToks, upload longer story recaps to YouTube, and keep Discord active between streams. That is, they're my notes for new role players and new streamers and streamers that want to role play.
Yep. All good points. And I just add to that depending on where you want to take the stream, if you're just doing it to just showcase your story, or if you actually want to take it from an entertainer perspective, where you want an audience and you want to actually do something with it, it does require a little bit of extra work, like the clipping and like realistically, if you truly wanted to make something big out of this, you would need that. You need a lot of more hours than a day offers, basically.
Yeah, and just to quickly say something, I noticed that you suggested something in my chat about a fucking a job agency, and then all of a sudden you've got the Monroe Labor Hall in Red Dead.
I do, yeah.
taking your own suggestion for a character in GTA and adapting it to the Red Dead sphere. I like it. I see that. I see you post a picture of the Monroe Labor Hall as a
Yes.
teaser, and I was like, this motherfucker's using something that he suggested for a GTA server in Red Dead. Fair play.
Well, it's actually also slightly union expired, but yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, obviously, but
yeah.
But you had one more question, right? I believe.
Just one final one to top it all off. Thought maybe fun is and I'll go first, which is your hot take on roleplay. And my hot take is, and I especially developed this hot take in the last couple of months, I fucking hate conflict and war. I fucking hate it. Absolutely.
That's where the viewership is, though, brother.
Yeah, I know, and that's why it's a hot take, but I absolutely fucking do not enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's such a slippery slope towards, I don't know, it's just not
out
enjoyable.
Of character issues, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just so fucking
do
not want to deal with it anymore.
So just to briefly talk on that, that's why I've always said, like, if you've got friends in the server that are in other groups, orchestrate a fucking orchestrate it OOC, like a battle, have the winner already determined before the battle, and then just curate the middle of the story, the beginning and the middle of the story, and how that's going to come to pass. Like, while people say, oh, you shouldn't script anything, look how well that worked out for us in GRX with us scripting shit before. We had a script of things that we would do. We don't know the outcome. Sometimes, the admins would get involved and the devs would get involved in that shit and would start blowing us up with fucking helicopters or whatever. But they read the room. They understood the assignment. I think sometimes scripting war before it happens could just make for great content for everyone. Now, maybe to decide the conflict end with a coin flip on a website, like who wins, who loses, just put it down to chance, would make a better experience for everyone involved, I think.
Yeah.
And then they can figure out on their end as role players, how can we take a W from this L? You know what I mean? And because they can do that. You can definitely take W's from taking an L, So that's just my opinion on that situation. My hot take from roleplay. I genuinely think people should not roleplay for more than 8 hours a day. I think people that are roleplaying for more than 8 hours a day need to go and get a fucking life outside of roleplay. They need to touch fucking grass, because all you're going to end up doing is probably cheating on your partner with some fucking virtual reality person that you've never met. That's if you have a partner, but most likely not if you're role playing for more than 8 hours a day. And understand that seeking relationships within a computer game might work for some folk, but I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend like going down an ERP route and exploring those avenues. Really, I would definitely go to a bar and, I don't know, go on Tinder and try and meet someone or something, you know, the natural way, rather than
you get way too invested too, right? Like
just be careful. This is the ladies and gents, right? Like, just be careful, because you don't know who's on the other side of that fucking keyboard, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, just be smart about it. Yeah, that's like, I don't know. Definitely touch grass more. Role players need to touch grass more, because they get way too invested in the story, and they stop believing what is role play and what's reality. They start to forget that they're playing a computer. Exactly, that they're playing a fucking computer game, and people are trying to role play as characters, and not. It's not meant. That kind of relates to the war thing, right? People get way too invested and OOC butthurt about stupid shit, and a lot of the people come on there, create content, and get off the computer and don't even fucking think about what they were doing that day, you know? So, yeah, that's my hot take. Don't ERP, it's cringe.
Agreed, 100%. Right. Well, with that, we can round it off. I'll leave the outro to you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of the Green Room podcast. I hope you enjoyed our takes today on roleplay, streaming, and our conversation, and the news. Great news today about Bethesda and the release of certain games, and then working together with Obsidian again. So if you're new around here, make sure you're subscribed. The links to our respective live streams will be in the description of this video. The link to the Discord, which this is based around, the Green Room podcast. We have a Discord called the Green Room, and it is again a community-driven RP Discord where we help promote newer streamers and have conversations with viewers who love roleplay. We also do game nights as well. We did one for Serukka's 1-year celebration of streaming, which was really fun, with a whole roleplay audience. Hopefully Serukka is gonna, download those VODs and break them up into videos, and then we can advertise them.
Yeah. I need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, please do that at some point. That'd be great. I'd love to see how they come out. But yeah, I've been Clusty, and this has been Serukka, and we will see you in the next episode, where we are going to try and get another very special guest. All right. So adios, everyone. Appreciate you.
Adios.
And we'll see you soon.